Hare. Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuvanmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandehum Shri Guroho Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namavom Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishthiki. Krishnaya vasudevaya devaki nandanaya cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Welcome all of you for the Srimad Bhagavatam class this morning. Who was coming? So this is third canto, 20th chapter, text number 28. Sovadharyasya karpanyam viviktadhyatmadarshanaha vimunchatmatanum ghoram ityukto vimamochaha. 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 Mataji, Sovadharyasya karpanyam viviktadhyatmadarshanaha vimunchatmatanum ghoram ityukto vimamochaha. Saha, the Supreme Lord Hari, avadharya, perceiving, asya, of Lord Brahma, karpanyam, the distress, vivikta, without a doubt, adhyatma, minds of others, darshanaha, one who can see, vimuncha, cast off, atmatanum, your body, ghoram, impure, ityuktaha, thus commanded, vimamochaha, Lord Brahma threw it off. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. The Lord, who can distinctly see the minds of others, perceived Brahma's distress and said to him, cast off this impure body of yours. Thus commanded by the Lord, Brahma cast off his body. Purport. The Lord is described here by the word Viviktadhyatma Darshanaha. If anyone can completely perceive another's distress without doubt, it is the Lord Himself. If someone is in distress and wants to get relief from his friend, sometimes it so happens that his friend does not appreciate the volume of distress he is suffering. But for the Supreme Lord, it is not difficult. The Supreme Lord, as Paramatma, is sitting within the heart of every living entity, and He directly perceives the exact causes of distress In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Sarvasya chaham hridisannibishtah. Bhagavad Gita 15:15. I am sitting in everyone's heart, and because of me, one's remembrance and forgetfulness occur. Thus, whenever one fully surrenders unto the Supreme Lord, one finds that He is sitting within one's heart. He can give us direction how to get out of dangers or how to approach Him in devotional service. The Lord, however, asked Brahma to give up his present body because it had created the demoniac principle. According to Sridhara Swami, Brahma's constant dropping of his body does not refer to his actually giving up his body. Rather, he suggests that Brahma gave up a particular mentality. Mind is the subtle body of the living entity. We may sometimes be absorbed in some uh, thought which is sinful, but if we give up the sinful thought, it may be said that we give up the body. Brahma's mind was not in correct order when he created the demons. It must have been full of passion because the entire creation was passionate. Therefore, such passionate sons were born. It follows that any father and mother should also be careful while begetting children. The mental condition of a child depends upon the mental status of his parents at the time he is conceived. According to the Vedic system, therefore, the Garbhadan Sanskar or the ceremony for giving birth to a child is observed. Before begetting a child, one has to sanctify his perplexed mind. When the parents engage their minds in the lotus feet of the Lord, and in such a state the child is born, naturally naturally good devotee children come. When the society is full of such good population, there is no trouble from demoniac mentalities. So first there is a description about the super soul up to this. From here, first this paragraph describes about the super soul being the best friend. And he perceives our pain very clearly. Then the second part talks about the Brahma situation in this chapter, where when demoniac children were born, Brahma was very pained and disheartened, unhappy. So Lord didn't tell him to just to tolerate the pain. He gave instruction that you give up that body. And Prabhupada says that the dropping of the body is not a gross body, physical body, but the subtle body. Dropping of the mentality, he says. There was, up to that he says. And then from here, there's a third para. Here Prabhupada talks about the parents, about their mental condition at the time of conception of a child. So he talks about the Garbhadan Sanskar here. So we are reading from the chapter, conversation between Maitreya and Vidura. Brahma is making different kinds of creation. So here the previous verse, if you see, so here this is Brahma's distress comes in this verse here. Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki jai. See here, in this verse it says, Lord Brahma then gave birth to the demons from his buttocks, and they were very fond of sex. Because they were too lustful, they approached him for copulation. So when Brahma saw their behavior, the worshipable Brahma first laughed at their stupidity, but finding the shameless asuras close upon him, he grew indignant and ran in great haste out of fear. He approached the personality of Godhead, who bestows all boons and who dispels the agony of his devotees and of those who take shelter of his lotus feet. He manifests his innumerable transcendental forms for the satisfaction of his devotees. And then he called out, Pahimam, Pahimam, Paramatmam Ste. He's saying, protect me, my Lord. Lord Brahma, approaching the Lord, addressed him thus, My Lord, please protect me from these sinful demons who were created by me under your order. They are infuriated by an appetite for sex and have come to attack me. Like that he prayed. My Lord, you are the only one capable of ending the affliction of the distressed and inflicting agony on those who never resort to your feet. That means paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. The Lord protects the devotees and destroys the demons. So you are the only one who can do that. And then today's verse here. The Lord who can distinctly see the minds of others perceived Brahma's distress and said to him, Cast off this impure body of yours. Thus commanded by the Lord, Brahma cast off his body. So there is a word in English called empathy, isn't it? What is the difference between sympathy and empathy? Sympathy means I may look at someone's position and say, oh, you pity one, you pitiable one, you are suffering so badly. Don't worry, everything will be all right. I am at a higher pedestal and that person is at a lower pedestal. I'm very sorry, you are suffering like this. I am not so bad, I am all right. That is sympathy. Empathy means to be on the shoes of the other person and feel what the other person is feeling. I remember many years ago, we were going through a city in India and one person was supposed to bring us prasadam. And that devotee had prepared 8 items, varieties of items to cook because he thought senior devotees are going, I should give them the best prasad. But the problem was, because 8 items had to be made, it got pretty delayed. And he has to bring it for the train on time. So he made a calculation, the station would take me only 40 minutes to reach. And exactly he finished cooking and offering. And as he was bringing, at that time there was one Ramzan, there was one procession going on. The Muslims have a festival, celebration. Huge crowds of people were crossing the road. So he came in a car and the car got stranded in the traffic jam. So after that he got off the car and took a bike from somebody. And even through the crowd, he just penetrated through the crowd and tried to come to station. So when he just reached the station, he saw the train moving already. So people who were in the train, 3-4 devotees, they were wild. They were saying, what is the use of this fellow making 8 items? Because they knew that on phone he told, I am making 8 items. Let him eat it himself. He didn't bring it for us. So they were actually very upset with him. But this fellow was the intelligent one. He drove the bike very fast and reached us at the next station. He brought the prasad there. Exactly reached on time before the train left. So when he saw that he came to know that the devotees were very upset with him. So he was very disturbed mentally that how can they be upset with me? Don't they know how much I worked hard to cook these 8 items and how much I struggled through the traffic, because of which I got late. But by the time devotees had commented that he is insincere, in his service, he's careless, don't you know that, you should come well before the time, before the train leaves. Actually, he could have come before the train left, but the procession was an unexpected one. Correct now. So when he narrated the whole episode, that I came in the car, I parked the car on the side of the road and I took a bike and came, I wanted to reach you all. Then the others understood that he made a very great effort to reach us. So then they felt pity for him and they could understand his sincerity. When they felt his sincerity, then he became pacified. So when someone expresses to you, please understand me, and we refuse to understand, And we hold on to our position, labeling them or belittling them as insincere. Then they become very broken-hearted and shattered. They feel that this person doesn't understand what I am saying. Many times. So therefore, we may say that, there are many things that are not obvious in this world. So, those which are not obvious, we should not judge, because there might be various possibilities. It's always good to give benefit of doubt. So, in our dealings, we all face this challenge of making someone understand us and be able to forgive us in case we committed a mistake. So, here you will find the super soul is such an expert personality. He can exactly understand the feelings of the other living beings because he is seated in the heart of those living beings as the best friend. You will see when a man dies in India, the wife and the women, they will not go out of the house because they are not supposed to go to the graveyard, because if they see the body burning, they cannot emotionally take it. It is too much for them. So they will not come out of the house. And the relatives and others, they come to the house in a very formal way. They will just silently sit and they pass the condolences and they will go away. And the son goes up to the graveyard to put fire to the body of the deceased father. And after putting fire, when the body is burning, he will also go away. The only person who accompanies that living entity to the next body is the super soul. Therefore, super soul is the best friend of us. In the 4th canto, when Malayadwaja and Vaidarbi, they both went to the forest as husband and wife, Vanaprastha stage. So she was serving the husband, assisting him in his devotional service. And husband was a very exalted personality. Malayadwaja was a great devotee. One day, when Malayadwaja was lying down, she massaged his feet and she found that his feet was chill. She immediately understood that he has left the body. And in that forest, she looked around. There are mountains and forests and thick trees. And I am all alone in this forest. And she loudly cried. At that time, one Brahmana appeared there, an effulgent Brahman. Who was that? That Brahmana was Super Soul. And the Brahmana told her, "Why are you lamenting like this, O living entity? Don't you know, like two swans living in a lake, me and you, we live in the heart, which is like a lake. I am always accompanying you life after life. You are never alone. I am present with you, and I also share your joys and sorrows. I am fully aware of your situation. And nothing can happen to you without my sanction. Be assured." And you have some temporary relationship in this world, as someone is a husband or father or mother, brother, sister. But these relationships will be finished. So your eternal relationship is only with me. When the Lord gave that assurance, she became pacified after that. Even all of us also, in this world, we will never feel lonely if we know that we have our own private Paramatma to watch us. Upadrishta, Anumanta, Jabarta, Vokta, Maheshwaraha, Paramatmeti Chapyukto, Dehesmin, Purushapparaha. Krishna is telling, Upadrishta, I am the director. Anumanta, I am the permitter. Bharta, I am the maintainer. Bhokta, I am the supreme enjoyer. Maha Ishwaraha, I am the greatest controller. There is nothing beyond my control. Everyone and everything is under my control. So, when we know this truth about the super soul in our heart, we will never be disturbed even if somebody misunderstands us. Because we know that this misunderstanding of this person is happening under the witness of Supreme Lord. Because Lord is the witness, He knows the truth. I don't have to worry. I have done my part of explaining it. Somebody didn't understand, what can I do? So we can be pacified in our heart by knowing the Lord in our heart watching us. So that is one of the reasons why Nottamashlokavatanam jishatam tat katamratam syat sambramanta kalepi smaratam tat padambujam. This verse is said about Parikshit. You all know very well, Parikshit was saved in the mother's womb by Paramatma, super soul. Now when he was about to die, in those 7 days he got a curse. Did Parikshit expect the Lord to come and save him? Did he pray to the Lord? No, because Parikshit knew very well, this is happening under his witness. At that time, he wanted me to live. At this time, he wants me to die. Therefore, whatever be his will, let that will happen. So here it says, Syat Sambramanta Kalapi means even at the time of death, the devotees of the Lord are never disturbed. Knowing well that all this is happening under Lord's will. And that is the reason why Jadabharata, when chopper was put on his neck, he did not get frightened. Because he had full faith that Lord Vasudeva, Lord Krishna is watching the situation. Of course, we can't behave like that in our stage. We have to make our effort to escape as much as we can. Because we are not pure devotees. But you can see the very advanced pure devotees. They live in the presence of the Lord, always, 24/7. Due to which they have no fears at all in this world. Now in the same manner, if I am worried about something, I can report to the Super Soul. Lord, I can tell him, my dear Lord, I am very much in anxiety about this. I am unable to handle it myself. Please help me. And that's what Brahma did. Brahma was put in a very peculiar situation here. He was given one project of creating many species of life. So while doing that project, he came across living entities who are vicious living entities, very dangerous living entities. Like in the dawn of creation, when Brahma did penances and then got the darshan of Lord Vishnu, and then he asked for 4 benedictions from the Lord. One of those benedictions was, while engaging in my project of service to you, I may come across some vicious elements, and by their association, I may become polluted. So what I should do? Like that he asked. Lord said, as long as you always remember me, you will never be afflicted by any impurity. Once you forget me, the problem starts. Like that the Lord told him. So now here, such a situation has come in Brahma's life now. So he was producing many living entities, and then suddenly some living entities started attacking him from behind. And he felt ashamed by their behavior. What is this? This kind of homosexual behavior they are showing. Initially he laughed at their behavior, thinking that these are foolish fellows. But later on he found that they are serious about copulating with him. So after that he got frightened. He started running away. How can even this kind of things one can do? He was surprised, shell-shocked. And then he fled from there. And then he prayed to the Supreme Lord. Actually, what happens in this world, by bad association, many things are picked up by the living entity. Many bad habits, not even worth mentionable, habits are picked up. Like, for example, in India also, children sometimes are put in a residential school, where in a small room, sometimes 15-20 children are put. They stay together. And when they are sleeping at night, they develop many bad habits of putting their legs over one another. And as they grow, as the senses grow, they misbehave also. And then initially what came as a playful thing becomes a habit. And then that habit grows into a very major habit, and one is unable to get out of it to a degree where one repeatedly indulges several times, and then one's mindset becomes very polluted. And this continues as if it is it's a thing which is perfectly all right. One thinks people even justify such behavior. So here, at least according to Srimad Bhagavatam, this is not acceptable behavior. Like for example, a man and a woman are allowed to come together in a religious tie, and they can beget children and raise the children in Krishna consciousness. That is not only sanctioned by the Lord, it is called as religious by the Lord. Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi, Bharata Krishna says. But nowhere in the scriptures, Lord has sanctioned the male or female uniting in some kind of relationship. That is not sanctioned in the scriptures. At the same time, in case somebody has got into this bad habit and they are struggling to get rid of it, they should not be treated like an outcast. They should be treated with sympathy. They should be treated with friendliness, and they should be taught in such a way that they will get out of this habit. Whenever I come across anybody like that, when they talk about this, I tell them, just like the brahmacharis maintain a brahmachari vrata, the vow of celibacy, even though in their mind some bad thoughts may come when they meet the members of the opposite sex. Actually, women should be seen like a goddess. Brahmachari means you see all women like associates of Radharani. That's the ideal way they should see. But sometimes the mind may get contaminated by some other thought, impure thought in the mind. Nevertheless, they have to restrain. If they don't restrain their mind and they let the mind loose like an untethered bull, then you find they indulge in illicit connections with somebody's wife or with some unmarried woman, and they don't properly get settled in life, and the whole life goes for a toss, and highly complex situations result because of uncontrolled mind. So just like a brahmachari is supposed to restrain his mind, in the same manner, if somebody is feeling attraction for the same sex, then one should restrain one's mind. Once His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj was telling, that sex which does not produce children is illicit. That's the definition he said. Because male or female attraction, that doesn't produce any children in that relationship. So in the Bhagavatam it is called the demoniac, and it should be given up. Yes, it is improper desire, it's illicit desire, it should be given up, and the people who are indulging in this should be aware of it. But here Brahma felt very unhappy with their behavior towards him. Earlier also, we have read that Brahma became, when Brahma created a beautiful girl, Vak Devi, so he became attracted to her in his mind. He didn't do anything with her, it is after all his daughter. But when he looked at the daughter, her beauty charmed him. At that time, the Marichi's sons laughed at him. So they became offenders. And later on, they became Kalanemi's sons, and then later on, they were cursed they came as Hiranyakashipu's sons, and then later on, they became Vasudev and Devaki's 6 sons. And then they got a curse that their father will kill them. So earlier their father was Kalanemi, who was Kamsa. So therefore Kamsa kills those 6 children, you will see, because of offending Brahma. What we learn from that episode is, even if somebody has some impurity or impure mentality, we are not here to ridicule them or mock at them. Then how should we respond to that? For that, another good example is given. The Kumaras, 4 Kumaras saw the behavior of Brahma attracted to his own daughter. So they folded their palms and prayed to Brahma, "Oh Father, how is it that you are feeling attraction to your daughter in a conjugal way? It is inappropriate. So we are shocked to see your behavior. Please give up this mentality." Like that they prayed. But they saw that Brahma is still hell-bent on staring at her with the same intent. Then they turned to the Supreme Lord and they prayed, "Oh Supreme Lord, give sadbuddhi to our father. Give good intelligence to our father. So because we are worried about him, his behavior." And then Lord Krishna came as Hamsa Avatara. Later on you will see that. Of course, Brahma came back to his senses. And when 4 Kumaras asked certain questions about sense gratification, Brahma could not answer. So there Prabhupada says, if a superior is oneself weak-minded and indulging in sense gratification, they won't be able to answer the questions of the subordinate with good clarity, because one is oneself wetting one's consciousness. So then he couldn't answer their questions. Then Brahma and Kumaras, they approached Hamsavatara. We will read in the later 11th, 12th canto, we will read that. Hamsavatara comes and speaks to them and everybody becomes enlightened by that. So the point is, sometimes the preacher also comes across some candidate who want to open their heart and reveal their mind and take help from us. And we also open our mind and heart to them and say, please go ahead, I will help you. It's exactly like one fellow is drowning and you give your hand. It depends on how strong you are. Actually, if you really want to save a drowning man, you should be such a swimmer that you can take the drowning man on your shoulder and put, and still you should be able to swim. Check yourself whether you are so strong to put him on your shoulder and swim. So, if you are not, then one has to be a bit reserved in hearing about the anarthas of the conditioned souls. Like if somebody comes and reveals to you about their leelas in their youthful days, what nonsense they did, and they say that I did this with this woman, that woman, many things they reveal. You hear it, they will put this bomb in your head and they will go away. Afterward, that bomb will be exploding in your head. In fact, our mind will imagine more than what he did also. And that will cause a lot of impurity, contamination in the mind. So much so that contamination can actually make us impure. We may actually become sexually agitated, and we may lose our purity by that, by having heard that. He may wonder, I wanted to help that fellow and he putrefied me and went away. And neither did he become a devotee, nor I could help him. Both of us are drowning. What is the use? So therefore, whenever, in many times in Pune, when devotees, younger devotees, find it difficult to tackle problem of somebody, they will come to more senior devotees and take help. Prabhu, he has a lot of terrible problems. I can't even hear. When they hear something, it is disturbing to the mind. They will say, stop, enough. Don't tell me anything more about you. Enough now. I don't need all the details. It's good enough to know that you got into trouble. That's good enough. Now for getting out of trouble, chant Hare Krishna, read this book, read these articles and come and spend in the temple more time and the morning program, everything. Because even if you know the complexity of his problems, and the material world is full of complexities, we should go for a spiritual solution. So, therefore, one should not allow one's subtle body to become contaminated, because the subtle body's shape is always changing depending on our mental absorption. So, at the time of death, whatever shape the subtle body has assumed, say if the subtle body is lusty, it assumes the shape of a dog. If the subtle body, is greedy and ambitious, so different bodies are present. The subtle body. So the subtle body takes the soul to the next body in order to give shape to the desires stored in the subtle body. So therefore, one should, Prabhupada says, change of gross body is not important, because gross body will anyway change. Like you see, our body was small baby, then it became boyhood, then youth and old age. It will automatically come. You don't have to worry about the change of gross body. Change of subtle body is very important. One has to design the change of subtle body, not allow it to change by default. Default means what? Like a flood. It flows without any direction. We should not allow subtle body to flow like a flood. We should design the direction of the subtle body. Subtle bodily change. That means Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. By engaging the senses in service of master of senses Krishna, the senses become purified. And Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto, Krishna says, engage your mind in chanting the holy name, by which mind is purified. And study the scriptures, then intelligence is purified. Stay in the company of devotees and associate with them and receive feedback from them and modify your life, then false ego is purified. In this way, senses, mind, intelligence, false ego, all of them have to be purified. Because the goal of life itself is purification. So, therefore, in the second part of this purport, here Prabhupada says that, yes, you can purify. Sometimes something is purifiable, you can purify. But if you cannot purify, you have to cast off. Now, regarding this casting off, Prabhupada used to say that if somebody has engaged in illicit behavior after dedicating one's life and body to Guru, then one should commit suicide. It's called as a vantashi, it is said. Vantashi means a person who vomited something and he drank his vomit again. It's like that. But this is not for a Vaishnava, Prabhupada says. This vantashi is for Mayavadis. Mayavadi has taken sannyas. If he falls back again with some woman, that is called as a vantashi, or a eater of his own vomit, like that. As far as Vaishnava Sampradaya is concerned, when Prabhupada gave sannyas, he saw that some of them have difficulty with their sannyas. Then in the Gajendra Moksha purport, Prabhupada wrote that an elephant is strong on land and a crocodile is strong in water. But if an elephant puts himself in a wrong element of water, then he can be disturbed. So he saw that some of them have, in an over-enthusiastic spirit, they took sannyas, but they could not preserve their purity. And then Prabhupada said that, they were falling down. And some of them wondered, if I fell down, what I should do? Should I commit suicide? Prabhupada said, no, you properly get married and continue practicing as a grihastha. There was one devotee, one of the first sannyasis who fell. After that, he was even afraid to come in front of Prabhupada. Then when he got married and then begot a son and then he came to meet Prabhupada, Prabhupada dealt with him very nicely, warmly. He gave him prasad and talked to him and his wife, and he had a small son. And Prabhupada said, Lord Chaitanya rejected somebody who fell down, but I cannot reject, I need all of you. And now you are properly situated in a grihastha. You are not doing any debauchery. Therefore, you continue rendering service. It is better that you continue rendering service rather than commit suicide. So, then he asked him, what's your newborn son's name? He said, Bhaktivedanta Das. He said, oh, you have given Guru's name. He had given. So, in this way, Prabhupada accommodated. Prabhupada did not accommodate illicit behavior, but Prabhupada accommodated one who has properly, duly got married and stably situated, he accepted. So, therefore, we all should make sure that we are putting ourselves in a normal position, Prabhupada says. What is normal position? A stable position means, brahmachari means we should follow the brahmachari principles properly, treating every woman like a goddess, mother. And if somebody is a sannyasi, then one should deal with every member of society like a child, and one should not misbehave with anybody and bring disrepute to the institution and the Guru Parampara. So, there are 4 things said in Bhagavatam. A Brahmana should be truthful, a woman should be chaste, a sannyasi should be clean in character, and a king should be free from false pride. But if a Brahmana speaks a lie and a woman is loose in her character, not pure, and if a sannyasi is illicitly connected to some woman, and if a king becomes proud and intoxicated by his position and privileges, then they lose reputation, they lose respect in society. It is right. So then they have become polluted. So we should not allow such pollution to enter into our system. So I want to show you a small slideshow. This, because if you see the slide, it will be very easy to remember these things. It is called as weakness to victory. See, here Dhritarashtra's son is Duryodhana, correct, no? So Dhritarashtra was insecure. Why? Because he was blind by birth. He was not eligible to become the king, although he was the eldest brother amongst the 3. Dhritarashtra, Pandu and Vidura, they 3 are brothers. But Dhritarashtra, though being eldest in the family, he couldn't become the king. Only Pandu was made the king, because Pandu had eyes, a proper body, healthy body. But then later on, Pandu went to the forest and he left his body. Then temporarily Dhritarashtra was made the king, although he was blind. There was no one else available. We say, no, a blind uncle is better than no uncle. Huh? So he was made the king. But he knew that I am a temporary king, but before the Pandava children grow up and come to the post, I want to make my son the king. Huh? He thought of Swajana. Huh? Swajana means my sons. It's called nepotism. Huh? I want to make my sons the king. So he was always insecure. Will my sons become the kings? Or Pandu's sons will become the king? Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva. Huh? He was thinking. And his wife, Gandhari, she was a lady of high character. She also blindfolded herself when she saw husband is blind. From chastity point of view, she was very noble and great. But she had another problem. When Kunti got Yudhishthir Maharaj as her first son, before Gandhari could beget her children, Gandhari was pregnant. When she came to know the news from the forest that Kunti already got a child, she became so angry. Vedavyas promised me that I will have 100 children. Why this pregnancy is not, delivery has not happened for me before Kunti begot child? So she, with her hand, she hit the womb and out came a big lump of flesh. So when Vedavyas arrived there and said, oh lady, why did you become so envious? You have spoiled the show. You have brought out a lump of flesh instead of the 100 children. They are not yet developed in your womb. Okay, it's my promise to you that you will get 100 children. So I will make sure you get it. So he cut the lump of flesh into 100 pieces and put it in 100 pots with ghee. And he cultured them. And from that the 100 children came. Who? Kauravas. The Kauravas were born. But remember this, she had a envious mentality towards Kunti. She was envious and Dhritarashtra was insecure. So combined envy and insecurity came in Duryodhana. You will see that. From them he got it. That is the point. Then you see, to make our weakness a deadly weapon, to be selfish and unreasonably ambitious, this we should not do. That means, if actually, in case we have such kind of impurities in our mind of envy and insecurity, how to overcome that we will explain. Here you see, when Dhruva felt envy for his stepmother, he wanted to take revenge. He admitted his weakness. He went to his mother and said, Mother, I am very, very disturbed. Why is my stepmother dealing with me like this? She is my senior and I am younger and she is mistreating me. I want to take revenge. So at that time, his mother understood his situation and she gave him proper guidance. The first thing she told him, my dear child, in this world, such feelings are not uncommon. But when such feelings come, you should give up such feeling. Like you see, one example I'll tell you. In Ramayana, see, it's not that a wife is inferior, husband is superior, and wife cannot give guidance to a husband. I'll tell you an example where even Lord Rama took good advice from his wife, Sita. One day Sita told Ram, why are you always carrying this bow with you? If you carry the bow, you will tend to kill somebody or the other, she said. And then she told a story. She said, once upon a time, Indra was very insecure. He saw one rishi was doing penances. He wanted to make his tapobalam or strength of his penances nullified. So Indra came down and told the rishi, can you please keep this sword with you? For 6 months I'll come and take it. So he gave the sword and went away. So the rishi had the sword. Now having the sword, you want to fidget with it, right? When he was walking in the jungle, he would use the sword for cutting the trees, plants, like that he would cut and keep walking ahead. So gradually he got used to catching the cranes and cutting them, catching birds. And over a period of time, this rishi became completely a violent person like Mrigari. He started catching lot of cranes and putting them on his shoulder, dripping with blood. He came. When Indra saw that, he was very happy. Now this rishi cannot become Indra now. I have polluted him, I spoiled him, he thought. So Sita quoted this story and told Ram, because Indra cheated him by giving a sword in his hand, if you have a nasty thing with you, you will misuse it. Similarly, you are also carrying bow, you are likely to misuse it. So you give up the bow, she said. For that Ram said, Sita, I understand your concern. I promise you, that I will only use it for dharma. I will never use it for any adharmic purposes. I will not use it in a irreligious way like that Rishi you said. I am controlled in my mind and senses, and Bharat is ruling the Ayodhya, and it is his desire that I rule the forest. So I need to have this to curb the vicious elements. For that only I will use this. Then Sita became pleased. And he told her, in case you see me misusing it, you have the right to correct me, he said. That means Ram was open to correction even from his wife. You can understand that. At the same time, I'll tell you another pastime from Ramayana, where if wife is going on the wrong path, husband also should correct her. One day, Kekaya Raja. Who is Kekaya Raja? Kaikeyi's father. Kekaya Raja. So he went to forest for a vacation, and he went to an ashram of Guru, and he saw the Guru. Guru was talented in various skills. So he came to know that the Guru knows the bird's language. So he asked the Guruji, can you please teach me how do we decode the bird speaking? And Guruji taught him. He learnt it very nicely. Now he could clearly decode what the birds are speaking to each other. But when he was leaving after a month, Guru told him, even though you can decode the birds or animals' language, you should never decode it for other people. If you do that, you will die, I told him. Because people know the language, the people can trouble them. So you should not tell anybody. He agreed. So when he went back to palace after a few months, one day, two parrots were speaking to each other just in the palace garden. And when the king heard what they were talking to each other back and forth, he laughed loudly. So Kekaya's wife happened to be there. She asked the husband, why are you laughing? He said, these birds, you see how they are? They are talking a joke. I heard that, therefore I laughed. And she said, what are they talking? Tell me. Then he realized, no, sorry, I cannot tell you. Because one Rishi taught me this. He told me, if I tell anyone, I will die. She said, you die, no problem, but you tell me what it is. Like that she said. Then he thought, let me consult the sage. He went to the forest and told the sage, sir, my wife is very adamant wanting to know. She says, I can't keep any secrets. She's staying like this. Adamant. She's saying, even if you die, no problem, you tell me. She said, if somebody is making an adamant request, he said, you should chastise them. Whether it is another person or your own mind also. You should chastise very heavily. And then curb their desire, he said. So now he went back. And then he thought wife will forget. After 2 days she asked, tell me, what were the birds speaking? She asked again. He said, no, I cannot tell you because if I tell you, I will die. She said the same thing. If you die, I don't mind, but I want to know the truth. Then he chastised her very heavily. He said, hey, you foolish woman. If I die, the whole kingdom will be drowning and you will be stolen by the enemy's army. And the enemy king will loot you and engage in adultery with you. Your future is bleak. The whole country will be finished. Do you have any common sense? Like that, yeah. Then she became quiet. She said, okay, I understand now. I'm sorry. So why I am saying this, when our mind is raising any polluting desires, we should chastise the mind. And we should fast, or we should give the mind, take 32 rounds of Hare Krishna today instead of 16. So when you supply 32 rounds of chanting to the mind will become subdued like a baby. You will see that. So one should not let impure desires, get cultured and grown. One should not allow that. So Dhruva Maharaj was very smart through a boy. See, whenever we are unable to get rid of impure desires like revengeful attitude, anger or hatred or envy for another devotee. Like one devotee was feeling envy. Prabhu, we both studied in the same college. We both joined at the same time. But see him, Prabhuji, he is going light years ahead of me and I am stuck here. And people are always comparing and telling me, hey, you guys came at the same time, see him, how he is going and what are you doing? As soon as people say a seed of envy is produced in my heart for my friend. We were best of friends in college days. Now I can't even look at his eyes, Prabhu, what I should do. So his senior told him, see, Prabhu, he has done some punya in the last life, for which now he is reaping the fruits. Maybe he becomes very popular in the world. Maybe he is very great speaker or very great singer. He has millions of followers. But you don't have such credits from the past life. In the company also gives salary according to your position, is it not? When the January month ends now, February beginning, one person gets $1,000, another person gets $10,000. They get different salary according to their work. So he has done homework, he is getting, and you didn't do homework, you are getting what you deserve. Then he became pacified. Yes, I should not compare. He said, you compare yourself with yourself. Okay, how am I doing this year better than last year? Am I utilizing all the gifts given by Krishna to me properly? Ask yourself like that. So in this way, she pacified his envy and told him, you think about your progress, my child. Don't think of pulling leg of others. So in this way, he focused on his own progress by going to forest, meeting Narada Muni, meditating on Vishnu, and getting darshan of Lord Vishnu. He perfected his life. He dissolved his envy completely. So Dhruva is our hero for us and a role model for us. We should follow in his footsteps. See, this is his stepmother chastising him. Then he went to his mother, went to Narada. He got uplifted in his consciousness. And in this way, Lord Vishnu blessed him with a conch on his head. He became purified Dhruva and he emerged victorious. From weakness, he went to victory. So, I'm going to conclude in 2-3 minutes. See, good intentions need favorable surroundings to fructify. For example, if you have good intention, that is very good, but you also need your favorable environment. For example, Dhruva Maharaj was having weakness of heart in the form of revenge. But he got such a good association of his mother and Narada, because surroundings was good, so he could, conquer over the weakness. For example, I am showing you a weakness here. Arjuna had a weak mind, but he had little sincerity, and then by his side was Krishna, favorable surrounding. He came out of weakness, karpanya or weakness of heart. He came out of it. So even though we may be weak-minded, we should take association of people who are flourishing in their spiritual life, advanced devotees. And by their help, we can come out of weakness. That's what Dhruva did. The best quality in Dhruva is he was always obedient. His mother told him, he obediently went to forest. Narada told him, he obediently practiced. Then Lord Vishnu gave him blessing and everything. Later on, Swayambhuvamana told him, don't fight the battle against Yakshas, he obeyed. Then Kubera told him, he obeyed also. You will find that therefore we have to be obedient to the seniors, superiors who are our well-wishers. And Arjuna also, when he obeyed Krishna, Karishye Vachanam Tava, he came out of his weakness. Correct, no? So, on the other hand, here you see, Ajamila had good intentions, but he had a weak will. When he went to the forest, the surrounding was unfavorable for him. So he fell down from that position, Brahminical position. He went for plucking flowers. Although he had good intentions, but his weak will, he didn't have a high character. He fallen down by bad surroundings. You can see that. So, later on, in the most degraded condition, he got good association of Vishnu Dutas. Then he got elevated. And in 12 years or so, he practiced Krishna consciousness in Haridwar and went back to Godhead. You will see that. So one thing becomes very clear for all of us in our weak-minded stage, when our will is weak, at least we should have good intention. If we have sincerity and good intention in our endeavors, then if surroundings are good, despite our weakness, we can come out of weakness. Like Arjuna was weak-minded, but he had sincerity. Here you see, Prahlad-like people, their intention is also good and they are not weak in will. They have high character. Prahlad Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj, Parikshit and all. Their intention is also pure, their character is also high. And even if there is an unfavorable surrounding, it cannot pose any obstacle. Look at Prahlad. His character and intention are so great that unfavorable circumstances could not touch him. He did not buckle or succumb to the arrogant treatment of his father or assassination attempts of the father. So, therefore, for weak people, when you have an unfavorable surrounding, that goes ill together. Because will is also weak, surrounding is also, association also is bad, then one goes down. So therefore, if I have a weak will like Dhruva, I should have a strong association like Suniti and Narada. That is one thing we learn. So here is a summary. Good intentions need, somebody can read this please? Was the mic with you? Yeah, yes, Prabhu.
Good intention need favorable surroundings to fructify.
Yeah. Like all of you, if you see in our lives, we have come with some good intention to become devotees. But we also need favorable surroundings to fructify. Because a plant, a seed can only germinate and grow in a very nice sand and things like that. Yes. Second.
Even if one has weak will, one with a little sincerity and favorable surroundings grows out of weakness.
The example is Arjuna. He had a weak will, but he had little sincerity in asking questions to Krishna. And then the surrounding was favorable in the form of Krishna's advice. So he came out of weakness. Yeah.
3. Unfavorable surrounding places big obstacles for one who may have good intentions, but a weak will.
Yeah. So good intentions are not good enough if our will is weak. Some people, their intention is good, but they are lethargic. They are not ready to do the needful. Then when there are unfavorable surroundings, for example, Ajamila, he went with a good intention, but his will was weak. What should he do, ideally speaking? He should come home and report to father. I went to the forest to pluck flowers. I saw a dirty sight. Now my mind is polluted by seed of lust. Then immediately father would have taken him to some Guruji and Guruji would have purified him by some austerity. But instead of, since there was no, his will was weak and when unfavorable surroundings came, he fell down. Yeah, yes?
For unfavorable surroundings poses no big obstacles for one whose good intentions are combined with high character.
Yeah, that is Prahlad Maharaj. So, yeah. And then others, so the other examples are there, that's good enough. So one last point I want to make in the purport, here Prabhupada says that parents also should do Garbhadan Sanskar before begetting a child. You all know Priyavrata, he was a pure devotee, Priyavrata. So he was hesitant to marry, but on the order of Brahma and Swayambhu Manu, he married. So he became very much attracted to his good wife, Barhishmati. It is said that Barhishmati was so beautiful that when he was doing Agnivalam, catching the hand of his wife, he was going around the fire. Even the fire was getting attracted to her. Like that it is said in the Bhagavata. Even the fire was staring at her. She was so attractive. So therefore, because of his attraction to his wife, he became lusty. And therefore, Agnidhara, who was born to him as the first son, he targeted to go to heaven, although Priyavrata went to spiritual world. Prabhupada says that is because at the time of conception of the child, his mind was little polluted. Therefore, Agnidhara was born as such a son who could aim only at heavenly planets. He married Purvachiti and went to heaven. So there Prabhupada wants this. Husband and wife should elevate their consciousness to spiritual platform by chanting 50 rounds of Hare Krishna before uniting and begetting children. As Prabhupada says, the mental condition is very important at the time of conception because the parents' combined quality of consciousness comes on the child. So here, Brahma got a polluted mind. The Lord ordered him, now you cast away that polluted mind. You don't have to cast off your body, cast off your mindset. So the same thing is applicable to all of us. By some mistake, if we became little degraded in our mind, then one should take out time to read more, chant more, do service to the deities and become more purified and open the mind to the seniors and strengthen one's inner resolve and will so that we can give up our weakness of heart and become stable, strong and be focused in our spiritual life and make advancement. Radheshyamdas Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you very much.